What's going on, guys? CTG Matt back with the title. Today I'm going over my favorite signings so far through 2 days of NBA free agency. Let's go. Don't forget to like, subscribe if you enjoy this video. We're going to get right into it. I really like Nickeil Alexander-Walker's 4-year, $62 million deal with the Atlanta Hawks. The Hawks have been very active so far early in free agency. They made a trade to bring in Kristaps Porzingis. Now they're signing Nickeil Alexander-Walker for $62 million. They also brought in Luke Kennard, which I don't mind either. But Nickeil Alexander-Walker is the one I'm focusing on. You're not even paying $16 million a year for a guy who I think is worth about $16 million a year. Nickeil Alexander-Walker with Minnesota impressed the hell out of me last season. He hit a bunch of big shots in the playoffs as well. He's coming off a career season, about 9.5 points, almost 4 assists, and I believe 3 rebounds as well. He plays really good defense. He's got great positional size. He shot 38% from 3, which is a very good clip as well. This is just one of those pieces that I believe complements and fits Trae Young perfectly. He fits into that wing spot that they've needed. They have a couple of wings in Zach Risacher. I'll count Dyson Daniels as a wing. He can play the wing. And a few more guys in there. Jalen Johnson's a big wing. But Nickeil Alexander-Walker is potentially a backup guard because they're probably still going to start Dyson Daniels and Risacher. He's going to be one of the best backup guards in basketball. He can knock down his threes. He plays really good defense. I really like the signing. $15.5 million a year average annual value. That's a good deal. I really like what the Hawks have done in free agency. I'm impressed. They're building well around Trae Young. Next up, it's the entirety of what Denver has done during free agency. The Nuggets have brought in Bruce Brown on a 1-year minimum deal. Great deal. Bruce Brown was fantastic his last time he played in Denver. It's not a guarantee he's going to be good again. He's a few years older now, but he was still relatively productive last time he got full-time PT. The only difference is that he hasn't been knocking down his threes at the same clip as he did in Denver. However, I think Bruce Brown playing with Nikola Jokic, who's one of the best setup men in basketball, will certainly help him. It'll help a lot of role players, but Bruce Brown is a guy who knows how to play his role. He makes his little jump floaters in the lane, plays tough defense, rebounds well. He's a dirty work player that I believe the Denver Nuggets desperately needed last year, and, well, they got this year. They also made a very fun trade. They moved Michael Porter Jr. for Cam Johnson. Sure, I would say Cam Johnson is like a step down from MPJ. It's not a steep drop-off, though. Cam Johnson does play better defense. I don't think he's as good as a shooter off the dribble, but he does complement Nikola Jokic better, in my opinion. There was times last season where defenses would send 2 at Michael Porter Jr. as soon as he caught the ball because they knew he wasn't going to really swing it. He isn't an assist man. Cam Johnson's not an assist man either, but he is coming off a career high in assists per game with the Nets, but he's not going to be tasked about doing that. He's going to be kind of sat down in spots and be a stationary shooter. I really like the situation for Cam Johnson. He's going to be a big wing on their team that they needed. He's already proven that he can be an asset on a winning team. He went to the finals in 2021 as a backup, I believe. Jay Crowder was the starter on that Suns team. Weird to think about. But Cam Johnson has consistently gotten better in his NBA career. He's very, very smart. I keep saying it over and over, but the guy is one of the smartest basketball players in the league. He makes a good amount of threes on a really good clip. He's a very good player, very talented, and he's got great size as well. He can play the 4 if necessary, but they have Aaron Gordon. They don't really need him to play the 4. They're adding more size around Jokic, which, again, is brilliant because we all love Jokic around here, but he ain't really a rim defender, so you need a bunch of guys who can play great defense on the perimeter and prevent a lot of guys from getting into the lane. Basically, take all the defensive effort off of Jokic, take all the defensive pressure away from him, and let him focus on being the offensive dominant juggernaut that we've seen for the last 6 years now. They also brought in Jonas Valanciunas. Now, I was skeptical on them bringing in a backup center because they haven't done it ever, really, I don't recall. DeAndre Jordan's been their backup for way too many years. Jonas Valanciunas is also a relatively good player. I'm very curious about it, though. Because I've been hyped about Denver adding backup bigs in my life before, and I've been conned. Shout out to Dario Saric. But also, this is something they haven't ever really addressed in my entire lifetime watching the Nuggets team with Nikola Jokic. They just haven't brought in a backup 5-man for him. Jonas Valanciunas isn't a world mover. He kind of just is like default skin Nikola Jokic, you know what I mean? He's got the brown shirt on like he's at the park, but can knock down a 3 here and there. He's a very good rebounder, good offensive rebounder as well. JV is a decent player. I'm surprised they even brought in a backup 5. It feels like they've been dodging that move for years now and padding Nikola Jokic's on-off numbers by not bringing in a backup 5. But they finally did it, and it's a capable one. He's shown he can play decent minutes. You know, he's not a 30-minute-a-game guy. The Kings, when Sabonis went down, they were relying on Val to play 30-plus minutes a night. That's not good. But if you can limit JV to 15, 20 minutes. I think you'll get really good production out of him. They also added Tim Hardaway Jr. on a 1-year deal. That's pretty good. Again, another wing who's not great defensively, but he's not really horrible defensively either. He's a hot or cold, streaky shooter. He can help run their bench, in my opinion, as well, because when he is hot, he is one of the best tough shot makers. He's like a Jeff Green type. When he's on, he's on. When he's off, you can't play him. But that's the plus about this Nuggets team, adding a Cam Johnson and a Bruce Brown. They won't need to rely on Tim Hardaway Jr. to play big minutes like Detroit did last year. But I still like the signing nonetheless because he can knock down the open three. He can get hot and carry your offense for like stretches during the regular season. It's a long regular season. Sometimes you need a guy like Tim Hardaway Jr. to steal a game or two. Adding all this depth is really, really big for Denver, for a team that has kind of lacked it over the last few years. They're finally getting that depth back. They're finally getting a healthy core around Nikola Jokic, which is something we haven't seen in a while. I'm excited for what Denver's going to do this season. On to the next one. Brook Lopez to the Clippers, 2 years, $18 million. It's $9 million a year, and the Clippers finally get a backup center. They were playing the most random people you could ever think behind Ivica Zubac the last few seasons, whether it's Moses Brown, Kai Jones, Kobe Brown, any of them. None of them are that good, though, you'll realize. And Brook Lopez is just capable. Sure, he's old, but he's not relied upon to be the starter anymore like he was in Milwaukee. You know what you're going to get out of Brook Lopez. You're going to get very good three-point shooting. He made a bunch of deep threes last year. I got to go look at his shot chart. But he can make threes. He can do a little bit of post-ups, too, if you really want him to, if you need it. But for $9 million, I mean, he's going to defend the rim at an elite level like he has done ever since he's joined Milwaukee, it seems. I still think there's some work that the Clippers need to do with this roster for me to be fully buying in on them being at that upper echelon of teams. The West is really deep, and they need to do a little bit more to separate themselves. However, this is a really good step in the right direction. I said it in my last video. I know a lot of Clippers fans are like, why are we still trying to contend with this roster? It's because I don't think you own many of your first-round picks still. And if you don't own your own first-round pick, what the hell is the point of trying to be a loser, a bottom feeder, when you don't even own your own first-round pick? You might as well try and be competitive. Maybe you'll luck your way to a conference finals or a finals. Who knows? Back to Brook Lopez, though. Like I said, really good three-point shooter, really good rim defender. That's all you really need. It's finally a guy who can back up Zubac and play 20 to 25 minutes on a night and can give you good quality backup center play. I don't know how he's going to mesh with James Harden because Harden prefers lob threat big men. Sure, Brook Lopez can dunk the ball, but I don't know if I'm relying on him to be a lob threat. But I don't think they're going to be relying on him to do a ton anyways. It's only $9 million. I said it in my last video. I'll say it again. There's not many bad deals that are only 1 to 2 years because you can just release them. I know I'm cheating here, but I'm giving Naz Reid's 5 years, $125 deal the stamp of my approval. I was sure he was going to be leaving Minnesota in the offseason. I felt sure of it, but he didn't. This was really big for Minnesota. He has commit to being in Minnesota long-term, 5 years specifically, $125 million. It's not a ton of money in my opinion. It's $25 million a year for a guy who filled in Rudy Gobert's spot when needed. Gobert is very good at what he does. Of course, we know Rudy. He can finish lobs. He's a really good rebounder, and he's a really good paint and rim defender. However, there's times where Rudy Gobert is just unplayable in the playoffs. We've seen that countless times when teams go small, 5 out, and Rudy can't dominate on the glass. Sometimes he just doesn't belong on the court. All right, that's the downside about Rudy Gobert. But the good thing is that you have Naz Reid. If you watched the playoffs last year, you would notice Naz Reid took and soaked up a lot of the minus Gobert minutes. When Gobert was bad, Naz Reid stepped up and played huge last year. In the conference finals, he kind of struggled. I'll agree there. But going into the conference finals, the first 2 rounds, I believe he was shooting like 50% from 3. I mean, that's just ridiculous. He feels like one of the keys to their offense. When he is going, it seems like the offense is clicking at the highest level. And when he's not going, it feels like the Wolves are just missing something offensively. I love Big Jelly. That's my guy. I know it's cheating because it was a re-signing, but he was going to hit unrestricted free agency. Technically, every team had a shot to land him. It's just the Wolves went above and beyond for $125 to be exact. It's still a really good deal. $25 million a year for the best backup center in basketball. I don't really think there's any argument there. This one might have went under the radar, but Guerschon Yabusele to the Knicks for 2 years, $12 million, $6 million per year. And you know how I'm going to explain this one? Knicks fans, you remember Precious Achiuwa from last year, in the years past, and how he wasn't good at all? This is basically better Precious Achiuwa. Yabusele, if you missed it, because nobody was watching Sixers games last year down the stretch. If you did, hats off to you, man. That team was unwatchable. Him and Quentin Grimes were getting buckets. But Yabusele can attack big men off the dribble. He's had a couple of posters despite being a little bit bigger built. He can knock down the three. He sets screens relatively well for a guy who's kind of an undersized 5. He gives the Knicks a different look. He's a guy who I doubt will be playing next to Karl-Anthony Towns because he isn't the greatest defensively. But what he can do is he can take in some of those backup 5 minutes. Because if you remember in the playoffs, Cat was in foul trouble, and Mitch is also injury prone and kind of unreliable in a sense. But also he was getting into foul trouble. And they were left with Precious Achiuwa as their backup 5, especially when Mitch was getting hack-a-mitched, where he was going to have to shoot free throws, and they didn't want to play him through that stretch. So this is another guy who can soak up those minutes. It's kind of what the Knicks needed, was another guy who can soak up 5-man minutes. They also brought in Jordan Clarkson, which I don't mind either. You need to get that. That bench was atrocious last year. I know Tibbs never leaned into his bench last year either. That's one of the common things of Tom Thibodeau's NBA coaching career is that he doesn't use his bench. However, you bring in Jordan Clarkson. It's a new head coach who ideally does run at least an 8-man rotation. It doesn't rely on 5-man rotations in Game 14. I like both the signings that the Knicks have done so far. I still think that there's more work to do on this roster. I still think that they need a better backup wing. I know Jordan Clarkson is kind of a wing, but he's more of a guard. He has more of a guard skill set, and he's not the biggest body for defensive purposes. So I still think there's a little bit more work to do on this Knicks roster, but overall, bringing in Guerschon Yabusele was one of my favorite moves. I was kind of hoping my Celtics got him. Now I'm jealous. This one might have went under the radar too, but the Magic signing Tyus Jones. If you watched them in the playoffs last year, Jalen Suggs was down and Cole Anthony was basically unplayable. So who did they turn to for minutes? Corey Joseph. Corey Joseph in God's year 2025. Corey Joe was playing way too many minutes in the playoffs last year, but they needed a point guard to bring the ball up and kind of get the offense set. And Corey Joe really couldn't get it done. He was bad defensively as well, and the Celtics took full advantage in the first round. They scored. It felt like every time Corey Joe got switched on to someone, it was an instant 2 points. You bring in Tyus Jones, who, sure, he isn't the greatest defensively either, but A, he can knock down his three-point shots. He's a decent three-point shooter. B, he's a good assist man. His assist-to-turnover numbers every year, he can't keep getting away with this because every year he posts a crazy assist-to-turnover ratio. Can kind of run an offense. I know Suns fans may not really like him because his tenure in Phoenix was very roller coaster-ish, but they were relying on him to play a ton of minutes. I still think that the Magic are going to be starting Jalen Suggs, so Tyus Jones is going to be coming off their bench. And Tyus Jones off the bench, that sounds like a pretty good role for him. That's where he strived, it's definitely strived, with the Memphis Grizzlies behind Ja Morant when they needed to soak up some minutes when Ja went down. Tyus Jones did a really good job. I think Orlando's really going to like this move. He's better than Corey Joseph. And lastly, another move that I'm very envious of, the Spurs signing Luke Kornet to 4 years, $41 million. It's $10 million a year for a guy who is one of the best offensive rebounders in basketball. He is a decent lob threat, kinda. He's a good screener, a very positive screener, decent finisher around the rim. I really like Luke Kornet. He's a really good rebounder. He can kind of play with Wemby if you need him to. They've been desperate for other centers over the last few years. They called up Bismack freaking Biyombo, Charles, Chuck Bassey, Zach Collins even before the trade. And it's just never really worked out with their backup big spot. I really like Bismack Biyombo, but Bismack is like 40. He can't keep getting calls. So they bring in an actual capable backup center. You watched Game 5 against the Knicks, you'd see him with 7 blocks. I'm going to be honest, I think that was a little bit fraudulent. I don't think he's ever doing that again. But he is a very good player. He can defend the rim. He's not the best at it, but he can do it. He can block shots. But I don't think that's really necessarily going to be his role if you're playing him with Wemby, which I think they can get away with because Wemby is so good at floor spacing. He can knock down his threes, obviously. So I really like the Luke Kornet signing. He's a decent passer, too. Underrated part of his game is on the short roll. He's a very good passer. He comes off that pick and roll. He catches it at about the free throw line, maybe a little bit deeper. He will find the corner shooter, and if nobody's there, he'll go up and dunk it. Luke Kornet has gotten consistently better over his last few seasons, and going from Boston, which is like an A-class organization, to the Spurs, which is another A-class organization, I don't really expect a drop-off here for Luke Kornet. I think he's going to be a very valuable piece for them. That's all I got for free agency signings so far. We're entering day 3. It's currently June 2nd, or July 2nd at the time of recording. Let me know down in the comments, what was your favorite move in free agency? Did your team even make any moves? I know a lot of Warriors fans and probably some Lakers fans are in the comments like, Jesus Christ, my team is doing nothing. Yeah, that's tough. My team is actively doing the opposite of trying to win games in free agency right now, so I know how you feel. Like, subscribe, talk to me down below. We're here for comments and engagement. I'm going to go catch the game. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for joining.